Hi, this is Geshe Michael Roach, and I'd like to welcome you to a new series here on YouTube and other video outlets, which is called How to Be a Tibetan Translator. So I've been a Tibetan translator for most of my life. I was very fortunate to begin living with Tibetans and Tibetan Lamas very early in my life, when I was in my early 20s. And I had sort of a unique opportunity to live with the generation which came out of Tibet, the generation of great scholars and great Buddhist masters, and grow up with them and learn Tibetan very well from them. So I think the first question we have to ask about being a Tibetan translator is, why do you want to be a Tibetan translator? What's the use of being a Tibetan translator? Why would you want to be a Tibetan translator? Because if your motivation is not strong enough, if your reason for doing it is not strong enough, you won't be able to master it. It's a difficult task. It's a long-term task. It requires a lot of discipline, and it just takes years. It takes years. It's like learning physics or something like that, and more difficult, I think. And you just have to be really committed to it, and you have to decide that you really want to do it. So I thought before we started teaching how to be a Tibetan translator, we would first talk about why do it in the first place, because that motivation has to stay with you, and if it doesn't stay with you, you won't be able to put in the years that it takes. So in the modern world, there aren't many things that you can learn that take decades to be really good at. Maybe learning to play concert piano or I don't know, something like that. Even a college education in America right now, I don't think it's that much discipline or that difficult. But learning Tibetan, to be the Tibetan translator, it takes a lot. So what is your motivation going to be? Why should you try to become a Tibetan translator? And by the way, you're never too old to start. You don't have to think, oh, I have to start that at 15 or something like that. It's not true. Anyone who understands karma can become a Tibetan translator, and you can become good at it, and you can contribute. So you don't have to think, or I'm not good at languages. You shouldn't think like that. If your motivation is strong enough, then you'll be able to do it. Okay. What should the motivation be? So you have to look at the body of books which are written in Tibetan language. Okay. When I say Tibetan translator, I'm talking about a translator of the sacred literature which is available in Tibetan. So I think to really get the motivation, you have to understand what it is you would be translating. And to me, in my opinion, it's the greatest body of spiritual literature ever written on this planet. We have a project which ended a few years back. It was 14 years long. And in St. Petersburg, Russia, our team cataloged the literature written by Tibetans that's held there, and that was 141,000 titles. Some of them are repeats, but try to imagine a body of spiritual literature which has maybe 200,000 titles, and try to grasp that each one of those titles is a classic on the order of the Bible. So instead of having one Bible or one New Testament to follow, you have 200,000 books that are as powerful and can have that much effect on humanity as the Bible has had. So just try to grasp, and they're all written like Shakespeare. So try to imagine a combination between Shakespeare and Jesus, or something like that. Beauty and depth and importance to humanity. So you're not learning Tibetan to translate romance novels or things like that. Tibetan literature is only spiritual literature, ancient spiritual literature. And what's contained in there could change the whole world. Right now, our planet has a paradigm, you could say, of competition. We are brought up to believe that if you want to succeed, say, in a business, then you must compete with other people. You must be better at advertising, or you must be better at product, or better at marketing, and then you should criticize your competition in your TV ads and like that. That's our culture. And internationally, countries should compete with each other for resources. You know, China is going to get the oil, or the US is going to get the oil, or Europe is going to get the oil, but there's not enough oil for everyone. This is the paradigm of our planet right now. What you will find in Tibetan literature, 1,000 years of Tibetan literature written by Tibetans, and another 1,500 years before that of great books written in India which were translated into Tibetan. So 2,500 years of spiritual literature. What you will find in there is a new paradigm for life, a new paradigm for the civilization of the world. And it's not available. No one has it. It's not available in any modern languages. It's sitting there in these ancient books, and no one can have this precious thing which could change the world. It's a paradigm which says, if you want to succeed in life, if you have a dream in life, then the only way to get it is to supply that dream to someone else first. That you must pay attention to others, you must serve others, you must make them successful, make their dreams come true. And the karma of that will make your dreams come true. And if a whole planet full of people is acting that way, then of course there would be world peace. And we would move to a higher level of evolution on this whole planet. So the ideas are here in the Tibetan language. They are not available in modern languages. I would say less than 0.01% has been translated. It's insane. It's crazy. The wisdom is there. The knowledge is there that can make this world a paradise. And everybody have enough prosperity and happiness and harmony in the world. But it has to become available. We have to share it with people. Even death itself, according to the Tibetan belief, according to these books, even such apparently permanent things as aging of human beings or death itself, these are conditions which can be changed if you know the proper method. And that method is only available right now in the Tibetan language. So why should you learn Tibetan? Why should you do this course? You must keep that in mind, okay? It's humanity itself. It's a change in civilization itself. Without this knowledge, I believe civilization will destroy itself. And with this knowledge, we can enter a new phase of human evolution throughout the whole world. So really, we are very dependent on Tibetan translators. They are like the only doctors in town, right? Imagine a large city that only has 2 or 3 doctors. And that's the condition in the world right now, in this planet. There are only a tiny handful of people who can translate these things. So we need people, the world needs people to learn to translate and then translate that wisdom and make it available so that there's a shift in the evolution of this world, and even beyond death, beyond competition, to a world of love and a world of peace. That's why every time you try to learn a Tibetan letter and you have a headache and you're trying to pronounce nga, and nga won't come in your throat, then you should think about that. These are not books. These are the formula to the medicine which will cure AIDS or something like that. It's more important than the formula to the medicine which would cure AIDS. We can change the entire world. We can change the way the world does business, but we must translate these things. We need people to translate them. And anyone can learn, because your abilities come from karma. And as we go through the course, of course we have to talk about how can you change your own intellectual ability, how can you change your own ability to learn a language and translate a language. Anyone can do it, because your mind is also coming from karma. Okay, so that's the reason to learn to translate Tibetan. And in our next class, in our next segment, we'll just start with the alphabet. Okay, thank you.